Live and pre-recorded. This is the Red Ticket Blues podcast. I am Brian Buckley. This is being recorded on April 4th to hit the internets on April 5th. How's everybody doing? It's opening day. It's beautiful outside. It's a nice New England April that they all talk about everywhere, right? Where's the news? Remember, you can always listen to the show on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at Red Ticket Blues. So, I figured we start off today with a little segment called Why Brian's Wrong. So, you may want to block some time for this, because it may take a while. So, cancel all your meetings, get in the slow lane, do what you got to do. Just relax, put your feet up, take an extra long lunch, because, you got to admit when you're wrong. That's part of the business, right? All right, so let's start. Let's start. We'll bury opening day for a second, because a lot of the games weren't played. The games that mattered weren't played. So let's start though with the Final Four. The national championship is tonight, so I'm really not going to get into it, because by the time you hear this, there will be a winner, and not really much of a point to do much analysis. So let's start with my prediction for the national championship, and that would be the Oklahoma Sooners, who were just destroyed by 40-something points by Villanova, the worst loss in school history. I did say, however, if there were any team that would be affected by the depth perception of the arena in Houston, it would be Oklahoma. Hey, Brian, this is about where you're wrong. Cut the crap, all right? Get out of it. Stop it. Stop trying to save face. I said Buddy Hield would be a major factor. He was not. He scored 9 points. He was terrible. He had his first shot, and then I think everything after that was a layup or a foul shot. He was awful. It was one of the worst games I can imagine. Not imagine. He scored 9 points, but still, for a guy that is, in most categories, the player of the year, he was terrible. He was absolutely awful. And, I was somewhere where I really couldn't hear. Why was his mom, was she not allowed in the arena or something? They kept showing her cheering, or she just not sitting in a seat. They showed her near concessions cheering. It doesn't really matter at this point. Anyways, the second thing I was wrong about. It is opening day. Yes, the Yankees did not play because of this lovely northeast weather of freezing rain that makes you contemplate some bad things. It's just terrible. I'd rather there be a ton of snow on the ground than have to go through this freezing rain, just miserableness. It makes you very unhappy to be alive. I did, however, say Comcast and yes would resolve everything, and they would be back together, which they're not. It seems like they're no closer than they ever were. No closer than, yeah. And number 3, staying with the Yankee theme, and we'll get into Comcast and yes a little bit. And staying with the Yankee theme, Andrew Miller has a broken bone sort of floating in his non-throwing hand. I said he would be out, even though he said it's not an issue. And I said he will not be playing, so he's going to have to wait for that to be healed. Doctor has approved him. It doesn't look like he'll miss any time. So, what have I gotten right? What can I say? Oh, I'm all over the place today. How's everybody doing other than this awful weather? I'm trying to relax here. I got a nice Bacardi. It's Bacardi. It's not Bacardi. All right. My wife taught me this. It's Bacardi. A little mixed drink here. It's not like goblet or sniffer or snifter. Why do we say that? This shows you how often I drink classy drinks. I can't even pronounce the name of a glass. But I have it in a little ginger ale and Bacardi Silver in pint glass. So I don't have it in the there's stages of alcoholism. I mean, so you don't want to have it. I've moved on from the frat party red Solo cup, so I've put the liquor in a pint glass, a custom pint glass for me, it has my name on it and everything. So you can tell it that's as classy middle of the road you can get. All right, anyways, let's jump into the Final Four real quick. Oklahoma obviously destroyed by Villanova. It was a close game. Not close game, but Villanova had control until you get to about the second half, and it was a 9-point, 10-point difference, and then it just exploded. It was over. Before you even knew it, I mean, it was a span of 5-6 minutes. It jumped tremendously, and there was no point in watching. And the North Carolina-Syracuse game, that stayed closer a little longer, but again, North Carolina ended up pulling away. So tonight, North Carolina versus Villanova. There's no really point in giving a prediction. I hope Villanova wins. I think North Carolina, I think they win too much. Give Villanova a shot. Jay Wright, give it to him. He seems like a nice guy. And he's friends with Mike Francesa. So, but there we go there. And the UConn women are just dominating people. And this was something I didn't talk about a few weeks ago. Now, professional shitster Dan Shaughnessy, and he's great at what he does. I mean, he ruffles feathers like nobody can. Writer, columnist for the Boston Globe, said that the UConn women were bad for basketball because the contests, they're blowouts. What, they won by 29 points last night in a Final Four game? Oh, Brian, Oklahoma won. They won by... Yeah, that happened. That's not normal. Oklahoma and Villanova played earlier this year, and Oklahoma won. And they get blown out in the Final Four. But I kind of agree with Shaughnessy to a certain extent. Now, there's a certain part of the population that wants to watch UConn because of domination. Who doesn't want to watch the absolute best at their craft? And I get that part. I understand that part. You say, see, that's how it's done. That's how it's done. See the way they make that pass? They make it seem it's so seamless. It's so perfect. But then at the same time, it kind of turns people off. I have no interest in watching. And I brought up women's basketball on this podcast before. And a lot of it has to do with, just the men not getting the same credit and having the same stupid argument. Could the UConn men beat the UConn women? We all know the answer to that. The UConn women would be destroyed. I'm sorry. It's reality. They're a very good basketball team. Don't get me wrong. But when you play a men's team, it's not the same game. I think we can all admit that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Here's another thing. Now the people that say, oh, well, how can you say it's bad for the game? Do you think this is the first instance in history where they've said a team that is that dominant is too bad for a sport? Do you not remember UCLA in the 70s winning 88 games in a row? Or the Yankees dominating in the 50s and 60s saying break up the Yanks? This is not the first instance of it. Now, there will be a crack in the armor at some point, and everything will probably come back down a little bit. But I think people need to realize that this is not the first time it's happened, or said, or done, or whatever. And just let it breathe. It's the truth. It may be bad for basketball. I don't have the ratings in front of me. I don't know if it's good or bad. If they go up when UConn plays, down when UConn plays, I don't know. Well, maybe you should know, Brian, if you're going to take hot takes on it. So let's get into opening day, though. Yesterday it started, and I had no idea. I thought it was the Kansas City Royals versus the Mets because they play each other in the World Series, but apparently the schedule was made in August. I did not even know that, so it was kind of cruel to do it this way. It wasn't MLB's fault again, but the Mets have to sit there and watch that. I mean, the Yankees had to watch it a few years ago, and the Red Sox won, but I mean, they played each other in the ALCS. It wasn't the World Series, so one game, but Yoenis Cespedes drops a ball, strikes out at the end. Harvey pitched pretty well. He didn't pitch terrible. I'll tell you though, and it kills me to say it's going to be a long season for David Wright. It's one game. I know I will back away from the ledge, but it's scary, man. I don't know what to say there. He does not look good. They showed how everything is reduced. That his pregame warmups, the doctors don't want him doing more, don't want him doing as much as they used to. And he looks so overpowered in that ninth inning against Wade Davis. Now, Wade Davis is a stud, don't get me wrong, but it was tough watching. And I certainly know, as you hear the comparison all the time to Don Mattingly, so similar numbers. And I thought Wright had better numbers. I think for the most part right now, if you match their careers up, Mattingly has better numbers. Yeah, he played. I think he played a little longer. I'm not sure how old Wright is. He's 33. Mattingly played till like 35, 36, something like that. So that maybe has something to do with it. But it's a guy who played great, decent power numbers. He did win an MVP, Mattingly, but Wright, he's always in the conversation for a few years. But back problems limit anyone. Back problems can ruin a career. And David Wright's a great guy because I know him. We go out for drinks every Tuesday. He appears to be a very good guy, so I really hope it doesn't get ugly, but I can see just from the vultures on Twitter last night, ooh, they're ready to pounce on David Wright. They are ready to pounce on the captain. So, what else happened yesterday? Saw there are 3 games. Why can't MLB just have it all on one day? Why do they keep screwing around and trying to be fancy and pretty? Stop it. Too much. Just too much. So you had the Cardinals and the Pirates playing, and I didn't even know that. And I was watching the Blue Jays and the Rays play for a few innings until I realized it was an actual game. I thought it was just an exhibition because they play some of the exhibition games in MLB parks. Why stop tinkering with shit? Just play the games. And you know what they should do? They should play it all in one day, and the people say, well, we want our standalone game. Put you one standalone game on opening day. Put that one at night. Why is that so difficult? I don't get it. And we saw the ESPN. Was it me or did Jessica Mendoza look just like Olivia Benson last night from Law & Order? I don't know. I don't remember her looking like that before. Oh, we have to criticize the woman's announcer? No, I'm just making a comment. I don't think she's bad at all. I think she's quite good at what she does. There. You come on, both sides. What are you going to say? A lot of games canceled. The Yankee game were canceled. I was surprised they canceled at 8:30 on Monday morning. Red Sox ended up, their game was canceled. Postponed out in Cleveland. So this lovely weather in April has shut down the sport temporarily until tomorrow. It doesn't look that much better tomorrow either. So, man, it is just disgusting outside. Just this, you go out to your car and it's just ice. You clean it off. You go inside. You come back out. It's ice. Ice. It's freaking April, man. Jeez. Switching gears to the NBA. Yeah, I'm all over the place with this podcast. I really am. I apologize. The NBA, I'm coming down to the end here. The Warriors got to go 4-5 in their last 5 games. 4 of 5. They got to win 4 of the last 5. Spit it out, asshole. 4 of the last 5 games. Sounds reasonable, right? They play Spurs twice. It's going to be tough. Is it me or the Rockets on TV way too much for a team that is just terrible to watch? Dwight Howard, James Harden, I mean, they're both great players, but Dwight Howard, I mean, talk about giving up. I mean, Oklahoma gave up too. Let's not forget about that part the other day. When they got down, they gave up, and that was pretty obvious to see. What was the other thing I want to talk about the NBA? Thon Maker. And if you're a recruiting person, you can follow a high school game. We heard this guy's name forever. He's trying to challenge the have to wait a year removed from high school to go to the NBA. He is 19 years old. He went to 4 years of high school, and he thinks that he shouldn't have to wait for it. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, what else? You know, this really killed me. This is it's tough. I was planning on, going over opening day stuff, and it's even tougher because the national championship game is tonight. And by the time you listen to it, it'll already be over. Oh God, cry me a river, Brian. Jeez, of all the atrocities of the world, and you have to deal with this. Holy Christ, I know. The NBA also announced their Hall of Fame inductions today. Shaquille O'Neal, no surprise. Iverson, no surprise there. I don't understand why the NBA continues to do this. Tom Izzo, the Michigan State active head coach, no other sport does this. If there is, please tell me. I'm just reading. I watched the 60 Minutes thing on Bubba Watson last night. I don't remember him saying I have a lot of mental issues. Did he say that? I remember him saying I'm scared of buildings falling on me and scared of the dark. I don't remember him saying I have a lot of mental issues. I'm just seeing that headline here while I'm looking through things here. Yao Ming was also inducted, which is kind of strange. I think that's more of a ambassador role. The guy was great when he played, but it was a very abbreviated career. Jerry Reinsdorf, Chicago Bulls owner, I'm sure she greased a few hands there to just say, hey, put me in the Hall of Fame. And WNBA MVP Cheryl Swoops, who was one of the big superstars when the league started. Don't get this stuff. Stop putting college basketball coaches in while they're active, because you know what? It's almost like a prerequisite afterwards. You're going to commit a violation. It's like you have to do it. Thank you, for this bust of me. Let me go make up fake classes. And Jim Boeheim he'll show you the difference between cheating and not doing the right thing, not following the rules. The guy's good. He's very, very good. Jim, let's cut the shit and just say what it is. Don't patronize all of us. You cheated. You got caught. Deal with it. You're not the first coach. You're not the last coach. So just stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Iverson. Man, I saw Iverson was interview with Rachel Nichols the other day. That guy, man. I don't get Allen Iverson. You know, he defined a generation. I get it. Whether you like the generation or not. He defined a generation with cornrows, tattoos, baggy clothes, the hip-hop generation. As it was coming up, it was different. People were, and I talked about this in a little podcast a long time ago. When keeping it real goes wrong, Allen Iverson. And it's a sad tale from what's his name? That guy from the Washington Post, the book that he wrote about Allen Iverson. And it's Ken, I forget his name. Very good book. But I don't get where he's at now. He's 40 years old. He's still dressing like he's 20. People say, why can't you? Why can't you? Yeah, you totally can, man. It's just sort of like, it reminds me of like the 60s. Because I know so much about, no, but I mean, take a look at an era like the 60s. It was different. It was anti-establishment. And, you know, people were afraid. And people thought, oh, this is different. Look at the way you're dressed. The music you're listening to. And, like, think about, like, hippies now. Like, what if you saw this old guy walking around with white hair and braids and tie-dye shirts? You'd be like, oh God, get a grip, man. I mean, Iverson's sort of getting lost. Now I heard him saying that, man, I wish they'd do something about the dress. Well, here, you can listen to it. And he does have a point there with some of the outrageous clothes that some players wear these days. But I mean, Iverson, it's, you know, everyone's wearing a tie at the Hall of Fame thing, and I don't want to be parental and say that you have to dress a certain way, but I mean, it's like a bunch of guys going to like Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco and being like, yeah, this is me, man. Still kicking it, still trucking. I haven't left the roots, man. And I was in San Francisco recently, and there are no hippies there. Okay, there are just dirtbags from all around, vagrants that have went there on some sort of spiritual mission who are aggressive, just rodents is what they are. So it's not some sort of magical land, by the way. So just let that be known, but. I don't know. I don't get Iverson. He's gonna be that OG, like 60 years old with white hair and his cornrows, man. I don't know who you're trying to impress anymore. It's like he's just trapped there. Like some people just never leave a generation. Some people are stuck in the 80s, and I don't get it. Anyways, I wanted to jump into that Comcast stuff. Again, I will fully admit I was wrong about the Comcast negotiations. I thought Comcast would, either one would basically say, all right, I've had enough. Let's come together. Let's make this happen. And they haven't. And I think I said this last podcast. The commercials are not like contact Comcast. You know, tell them that you want, yes, it's drop Comcast. Get another provider. Here's how you can do it. I even saw something that said, why does Brian Roberts hate Yes? Why does he hate the Yankees? And I'm thinking, the former player? Why would he hate the Yankees? Did they do something to him? He's the one that sucked. No, that's the name of the Comcast CEO too. So really screwed me up there. But if they really want to get Yankees fans' attention, I mean, all these radio ads, they should just play this, because this will bring all the people back, because this is the last time anyone really gave a shit about the Yankees. Watch the Yankees on either Comcast, Frontier,
I'll walk from here.
DirecTV. Doesn't matter. You want to watch the Yankees. That's your favorite team. Love the Yankees. Do whatever you can to watch the Yankees.
This is Stan.
I mean, seriously, come on. You're going to play that ad, which, listen, we all loved the first, 5 times we saw it. First 10 times. And then it got quite ridiculous. Just like the entire tour. The farewell tour. Get ready for that Ortiz tour. That thing's going to be obnoxious. But what do you I don't understand other people too. I hear people complaining, well, yeah, I can't get the Yankees. Just, are you like in bed with Comcast? Get rid of them. Get Frontier. If it's that big of a deal, get DirecTV. No, I can't do that. Why? They're all the same channels. Who gives a shit? Just do it. If it's that big of a deal, why not? And now you got some people, you got some of the senators in Connecticut, some of the senators. There's two. I was going to say Chris Christie, but Chris Murphy and Richard Blumenthal. And Chris Murphy, I'll tell you, if you look up Chris Murphy, Nancy Johnson commercial on YouTube, probably the greatest political smear campaign I've ever seen. I think I've mentioned it, but go ahead. They're both saying that, this is something that needs to be done. Worry about other issues as there's problems in this state than people having to stick with a certain cable subscriber. They can easily leave. I'll take over from here, gentlemen. Go back to Washington and visit the state when it's nice it's convenient for you. I'll take it from here. Just switch. I don't know who's lying. Comcast, yes. They're both heartless corporations that really can't trust anything they say. It's Comcast versus basically Fox because they own 80% of Yes. And speaking of politicians, how about those Panama Papers, huh? I mean, it shouldn't be a shock that celebrities and politicians and other people are funneling money laundering money to secret offshore accounts. If some of you don't know about this, there was a big leak. I think it was just millions of documents from... I think there's a lot of people from Iceland in it as well, or politicians from Iceland. Putin was a big one. Apparently he has some sort of $2 billion empire, which I honestly thought would be bigger, or maybe just involved with the Panama Papers itself. Who else was involved there? The U.S. government was very quiet about it. I wonder if they're waiting for the next leak that has everyone in Congress on it. But they said very little about it, which was quite interesting. Just saying, shit, what the hell is going on? Our old friend Jackie Chan. Yes, our old friend. Yeah, the Rush Hour star. He's heavily involved. And Lionel, is that his first game? Yeah, Lionel Messi, the soccer star. I was just saying Messi, so I forgot if it was Lionel or something more complicated than that. Lionel Messi's involved in that too. Apparently this Lionel Messi... As if he's like, some guy like that just came up. He's a freaking global star. This Lionel Messi, yeah. Just like in The Simpsons. Yeah, the Crusades. Yeah, big war happened 100 years ago. Thousands of people died. True story. He's involved in some sort of also tax fraud issue in Spain too. So why is this guy? Imagine if A-Rod, and he's my favorite punching bag, but imagine if A-Rod was involved in these tax frauds. This thing would be nonstop. Funneling money to A-Rod Corp to start the website, which is dormant. arodcorp.com just says come back. But he has become a social media star, man. He's so creepy. But what do you have today? He said yoga doesn't get canceled with weather delays, and it was just him in like a hoodie standing outside outside a yoga studio, just smiling, like very. I don't want disturbing's a bit strong, but just creepy, man. You're just going there for yoga. I'm trying to be nicer. Remember, I made that vow. To be nicer. I'm going to try my best. So, all right. I think that's all I got. It's a bit of a shorter podcast this week. For real, it was not a long one. I usually start off by saying it's not going to be a long podcast, but this one's relatively short. Apparently my vocabulary is too. I hope everyone, I'm just going to say everyone enjoy the game, but you have already watched it by then. Everyone enjoy the made-up opening day games. Enjoy the rest of your week. On Thursday, we will have a baseball writer. That's all I'm going to give you. Baseball writer. And brace yourself. We're going to talk about baseball. So, remember, you can always listen. You can listen to that podcast where baseball writers talk about baseball on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and all the other podcasts in the way back archives of the Red Ticket Blues. And like the show on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at Red Ticket Blues. And remember to subscribe and leave a review. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. Think about it. You're sitting there right now. The podcast is ending. Now what do? I just delete it? No. You're going to leave a review, you idiot. You're going to leave a review. And with all that being said, I'm out of here.